Thank you, General Platkin. At this point, we're going to recognize the Democratic leader of the Senate for an opening statement, and then questioning will start with Chairman Raskin.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Senator Durbin, formerly chairman of the Judiciary Committee, doing a great job as ranking member. And I thank Jamie as well. He's just been such a great leader in so many different ways. So thank you both for holding this hearing, and I welcome my House colleagues. I spent 18 happy years in the House, and reminding me what General Plaskin said, we passed the Brady Law and the assault weapons ban, which have served us well. I was the sponsor of them. And now they're trying to undo them. Right in the reconciliation bill, they have first wanted to take away background checks for silencers. And who needs a silencer? Not the police. They don't like this proposal. Not average citizens. It's people who don't want to be detected, criminals. And it's particularly dangerous when they try to do mass shootings and nobody's able to hear the bullets. And then they added, just the other day, they added shotguns and rifles. So what they're doing in terms of machine guns, they're trying to undo 100 years of law. Now, we're going to bird these things, and we think we have a good chance of winning them, but it's just crazy to all these laws that have helped save lives, that most gun owners support, they're trying to undo, because the right wing runs the Republican Party. But I want to thank our attorneys general for being here, from Illinois and Massachusetts and Minnesota and New Jersey. And we are holding these spotlight hearings, I'm sure Dick and Jamie mentioned this, here in the Senate, because they won't have hearings on the subjects the American people care about. They won't have hearings on just about anything, and then when they have their hearings, they often limit what witnesses we can bring. So we're having these spotlight hearings. We're going to call them shadow hearings, like the shadow cabinet, but that sounded a little shadowy. So instead, we call them spotlight hearings because they put a spotlight on what is going on. And they're often live streamed. Is this one being live streamed? And we get hundreds, good. Deborah would know. I see a lot of people here who I talked to because of Senate things in the old days. But in any case, the hearings are live streamed, and some of them have gotten hundreds of thousands of people watching. So that's great. We all know President Trump is just continuing to overreach and abuse his power as president, putting our nation at risk. I'll give you, we had a beautiful meeting at one of our caucuses last week. It was sad because of what happened in Minnesota. And our two Minnesota senators got up and talked about it. But at the end, I asked Reverend Warnock, who is still a reverend, as well as a senator, to give him a closing prayer. And he said a line in there that I have now repeated all across New York and the other states that I have visited. Here's what he said. He said that evil always overreaches and contains in itself the seeds of its own destruction. That's what we're doing. That's what we're hearing here. Now, that means we have to fight every day to expose that evil and try to stop that evil whenever we can. But they always overreach and go too far, which they do. So I'd like to thank our two leaders here, Congressman Raskin and Senator Durbin, for doing this. I just want to talk a little bit about litigation in the courts, because each one of you has been involved in litigating against the overreaches, if you will, much worse than that, of the Trump administration and the Republicans in the House and Senate as well. And one of the great things we were able to do when we had the majority is we put 235 new judges on the bench. Progressive judges, 2/3 were women, 2/3 were people of color. You're looking at the team that led the charge. And now, because Senator Durbin was great chairman of the Judiciary Committee doing that, and now they are our first line of defense against when the administration, quote, overreaches. And we have won 97% of the rulings in the courts. And to show you how important it is, they wanted to pass some horrible act called the SAVE Act, which would have returned Jim Crow to voter registration. They tried to pass it in the Senate, and they knew they couldn't get the votes because there you needed 60. But they went to the courts. I was the lead plaintiff. I think you were a plaintiff. To do the same thing, and the courts threw it out, as they should have, because our people are the first line of defense. So now he's using his big, beautiful bill as another way to get around either the Senate or the courts. He's so angry. And by the way, this 97%, a chunk of it comes from judges Trump even appointed. But they were upholding the law, and they knew how he was breaking the law. And of course, that lifetime appointment gives him, you know, the retribution that Trump always visits on his opponents. They're immune from it in some ways, although some judges are not. They're attacking the judges. Anyway, we won 97% of the court, so they go to the reconciliation bill. I have good news. This just happened late last night, that they had snuck in a provision that would stop the courts from issuing injunctions altogether. You had to pay a huge bond, which certainly poor people couldn't pay, but even some of the organizations that do this all the time complain to me, we got it thrown out. So that's 3 things they tried to do to restrict the courts in reconciliation, and we're batting 3 for 3 on nationwide injunctions, on these pay-for-play, and on what the courts, we just got a good ruling on environmental stuff, and they limited what the courts could do there as well. And we're having more success in the committee, in the Byrd process than we had thought we would have, although obviously we don't win everything. But I want to just thank you for being here. You, just like our judges are our first line of defense, you are the people who can seek cases and help us keep this horrible overreach from affecting the American people. And you each have been leaders in that regard. I've worked closely with my Attorney General. I'm a good friend of hers, Tish James. And I welcome you, I thank you for being here, welcome you to this spotlight hearing, and keep fighting.